Yeah, so what you have there, it looks like a bunch of information, and it is. But the stuff that we want to look at to kind of hone in on what we're doing. The only thing that I did identify in that as far as science is concerned is the spring semester of, I think it's physical science. If you look at I think it's spring semester of physical science. So what I want you guys to do is look at the first few pages when it starts talking about the demographics of Henry County itself, because that's where we're pulling students from. Has a table of contents on there if you guys want. But let's just look at that data in the front there. I think it's on
Henry
page.
County area.
Yeah.
4.
Look at
4.
that and just kind of tell me what you guys have noticed. So if you just kind of look and see what you notice for that data. And then we also have the demographic overview of our building in general. Kind of look at that, and I'll tell you kind of what I came up with, but I don't want to say that because I don't want to drive you guys to what you're looking for. So just kind of look at it and tell me what you guys see from that data. And as you see it, you can start telling me, and I'll write it up here.
The median household income is $60,000.
And that's from the U.S. Census Bureau. That's where that's from.
For Henry County.
For Henry County, Georgia.
Well, ours is a whole lot lower in our school.
Yeah.
So where's our school demographics?
Our school, as far as our school demographics in terms of all of our students here, that's on this demographic overview right here. As far as this should be on the bottom of page 5.
Starts over here.
And that's going to tell you.
May I have your attention? The English department is meeting in Dr. Gray's room.
Because well, our demographics for race are way, way off from what the county demographics are.
Right.
But that is the entire county. Did we break it down for school-age children, what the demographics are in the schools?
Should be right there.
No, in all schools, not just ours.
No, I don't.
In the Henry
Yeah, I
County
don't.
area, the person's under 18 is 27.6%.
Yeah, and so when you guys are talking about data, just tell them page 5, this area.
But that's 27% of the county. I'm
Yeah.
looking just for school-age children. What's the racial breakdown for our county schools?
Well, they don't have that.
Yeah.
I
mean,
wish
because
they
when we're
did,
talking
'cause then
about data,
we
you
can
can
make
go-
a better.
Over here it does,
Because it should
by
have,
grade level.
in our schools, everything is broke down from
Yeah,
demographics.
That's
That's just
oh,
our
no, that's
schools.
just Patrick Henry, sorry.
Yeah, now as far as the county, I don't really, that would be so much data, that thing would be 100 pages long. So I
No,
was
I'm
looking
just
at-
talking about this,
Yeah, they
this
should have been able
same
to compile
page
that to do
for the county.
Right, no,
Because then we could see, because right now, based,
May I have your attention? Social Studies department is meeting in Mr. Cootie's room.
based on the school, we have way more African Americans.
Mhm.
But in the county, a lot of that population that is white is older.
Mhm.
The younger ones are the ones who moved in. So we may not be skewed that far off. We are skewed that far off. But it may not be as bad as what it looks here from the county standards.
right. But from what that data shows, right
What
there.
this data shows, we're way off.
Right.
But I'm
Just-
curious about what well, that should actually be available from the superintendent's office fairly easily.
If that's the data that we, for all intents purposes, I'm just looking at what it looks like in who the kids we're getting, where we're pulling from is that in the entire county. And what actually shows up here is reflected in that demographic right there. And so just take a look at that and then tell me kind of what you guys are observing. And then we'll get into our assessments over time from 2009 till now, just on that spring semester of physical science, and see if there's any kind of relationship. And we're probably not going to necessarily come up with an answer to any one thing today, but you're just going to be able to show bring some stuff to light.
There's a significant population that have a criminal record,
Okay.
25%.
25%, and I thought that was huge because I did all this myself. I didn't get this from anywhere. I did the work myself.
Almost 70% of our student population is economically disadvantaged.
70%.
Is that just in ours, or are you looking at it?
That's just in Patrick County.
I was gonna say I didn't,
It starts right here.
okay.
And then I'm going to kind of show you what I gathered from the information.
Yeah, if we have 70%, 69.8% of our students economically disadvantaged, but the median household income is $60,000,
It's
It's
It's tricky. I don't know
yeah.
how that, you're right.
We're
Dr.
obviously pulling from the lower.
Yeah, if that average, that means, well, it kind of shows that we're either getting below average.
We're getting below average socioeconomic.
Because there are some, if you look around in some of these neighborhoods, I can see that.
And
Yeah,
that's,
but-
that's a
I see that.
valid kind of group to pull from for our school.
For behavior problems.
Because that's where they come from, is low because it's not, it is race partly, but it's more socioeconomic.
Well, and a lot of times you look at the areas, especially here in Stockbridge, you wouldn't think that on the other side of the hospital would be considered Stockbridge versus this side of 138. And most of those students in those homes are going to go to your private schools, your Elkas, your Strong Rock. So we're not going to even have those in a pool to even possibly get, because those students do not attend public schools or the homeschool. Those that have those with this, but we take their income into consideration.
So let's talk about,
There's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I
No, go
apologize.
ahead.
There's a 2-to-1 ratio of females versus male, black versus white.
Great,
Yes.
great
Well,
observation.
and I also noticed that in middle school, there's a much higher ratio of males
Yes, there
than there
is.
is in
In high
high
school.
school.
Absolutely.
And a much higher, the discrepancy is much higher in middle school than it is high school,
And one-third
as far
of
as
our-
race.
1/3 of our population is special ed.
Yes, goodness.
Where's that stat? I don't see
So
that.
we've got 392 students, we've got 154 in special ed.
That's 50% or close.
It's right under, yes, about
Dog
44% or
Yeah.
so. Okay, let's say, so what does this data suggest?
We're serving a very needy population of students with issues, problems.
Issues, problems.
But I
Well,
mean,
the
we know
issues
that.
include everything,
What an
from
alternative
finances
school does.
to
But
single
believe it or not,
parents.
If we did that for all schools, I don't know what that looks like in other schools, but we're pulling from those schools. I guess we're putting them all in one spot. So
Yeah,
I
we're
guess
putting
that's
them all in one spot.
Yeah. So we're saying that we're interpreting the data to say that we're servicing the student population, but we know. Okay, what else is probably something that we didn't necessarily know, or is this something pretty obvious?
I think it's pretty obvious. We've always known we had a lot more males than females.
Right.
We knew we had a lot more black than white.
Well, I think a lot
Take a
of,
look at.
I kind of think
Because I just want you guys to look at it and see if you see what I recognize about who we're servicing. Where's that? We got who we're servicing, demographics here, right here. Yeah, let's look at who we're servicing. Look at the
What page?
the page.
6-7?
Yeah, 6-7, and we're looking at the count of students by age. Look at that. Count of students by age, and see where our largest groups of students are.
It's 19, right?
Okay,
Age
from
19?
yes.
age 19.
Okay.
Where's the other larger group?
16.
Right.
16.
Well,
Okay.
actually, there's a simpler way of looking at it.
Okay.
We're serving students who are minimum 1 year behind.
Okay.
That's,
So,
that's the number.
and the
we're
evidence we
looking
have right there is from the demographic. I mean,
From
from what is that?
demographics.
The,
They are at
They're
least 1 year
16
behind.
and they're in ninth or 10th
Student
grade.
age. Student age.
Okay, so student age. Because what I saw when I started interpreting the data was, this is our kid, all right, and I'm going around each data team. This is our kid. We get a 16-year-old ninth grader, who ultimately turns out to be a 19-year-old senior, which comes to you, and they come to you. And that's ultimately what we're dealing with. So our processes and strategies, whatever we're gonna implement, has to speak to that kid, because that's what we're getting.
I agree.
Okay, so that's kind of what I gathered from that particular portion of the data. And so I guess the next thing is, how are we going to address that? Because that's what, we're getting a 16-year-old ninth grader,
Yeah.
who
Well, we
ultimately
just-
turns out to be a 19-year-old senior.
We just had one.
Senior to 19-year-olds to start, 20 to finish.
Right. 19-year-old 12th grader on paper.
Yeah, but look, between our 12th graders are 17 to 19. That's our largest group. And that's a large percentage of our kids, or ninth graders. So they're either ninth graders or seniors.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're ninth graders, seniors.
And
And
we've
they're
got more
19
seniors than we do
or
ninth graders
16.
actually here on this, but
We don't,
not by much.
And that's why I know here on Blended, back here with our kids, I mean, we just had one, this young man is 18 years old in the ninth grade with 2 credits. And he's struggling. Won't come to school, we talking, what can we do to help you, let's do this, and was seeing very, very little success, and mom came yesterday and went, where's she?
You have 88.
Now, let's look at our data for the physical science over time for those 5 years. What did we see with that data? And I should have put it in color just for that so you can actually see. But
It's
what
on
do you-
page
Should
12.
be on page 12. What are we seeing over time, just looking at the physical science spring semester data? That's, again, pulled from Georgia Department of Education and, all that's pulled from Georgia Department of Education or our, what's the thing that we're using, Point.
Point, okay, yeah.
So that's where I pulled that data from.
Well, we
What do
are.
we see? What do we see?
You know
We're
what?
inverted. Our scores are inverted from the
From the state,
state.
but from the county,
We're not quite off.
we're not that
Far
far
off.
off on
No,
the
we're not.
meets. On the meets. Now,
Right.
we have a lot more did not meet and quite a bit, or quite
The
fewer
less
exceed.
exceeds.
But
But we would expect that.
when it comes to meets, in fact, in
About equal.
2013,
We were
we
equal.
did better than the county average.
Mm-hmm.
2012, we were right there with them. 11 were down a little bit, and 10 were down a little bit, but our numbers are
Not
not
bad.
that bad
Mm-hmm.
with
Especially over time.
meets. Yeah.
So
The
that's
one,
gonna.
the ones that we're missing
Mhm.
It's the
are the
exceeds.
extremes. We either have some very low students
Mhm.
and we don't get the good ones, which we're
And
an
you-
alternative
well,
school,
also
guess
you
what?
have to
That's
realize-
accurate.
But you also have to realize too, Mr. Baird, it was 2 years ago when they changed the graduation requirement, because it used to be, if you had honors biology, you could take honors chemistry. And you take chemistry your 10th grade year, and because you had chemistry, you could graduate without physical science. Now you either have to have physical science or physics.
It was more than 2 years ago, it was 4 years.
Four
No,
years
no,
ago.
it's just two,
it was,
because I had to teach the
No,
kids.
because I had to teach them too, and it was 4 years
we
ago,
had,
because I
because we had a grand influx.
2011.
We got it when we got Apex, because we had a grand influx from Stockbridge High School.
Yeah, and I
We
had a
those
whole bunch
sen-
of them.
Yeah, we had those seniors that had to come over here and pick up physical science, and some of those kids had chemistry.
I had them from Woodland, Stockbridge, and Dutchtown, I think.
And we had those kids these kids had chemistry, taking physical science, so it was actually a step down, and they did relatively well.
Yeah, they blew it out the
They blew out the water, so that's where some of that data comes from.
Yeah, you're right.
That's where some of that data comes from.
Because we brought them in and basically said, we coached them.
Here you go. And take
And
the
let them
test.
take the test. and-
You sitting in chemistry, honors chemistry. You coming over here with 100. What I'm gonna do with you in physical science?
So based on the information that we see, data, demographics, what do you think the next steps can be we're not gonna be able to simulate that because that was a special case scenario. But what do you think the next steps are based on the data that we have, knowing what the kids we're getting? What do you think the next steps are for us to be the most impactful to the kids that we're getting? Because we know what kind of kid we're getting.
Well,
We know
we
what
have
to
Start labs by for physical science.
Yeah, well, we can get the labs, but we also working
But
on,
I'm not gonna be here, so I don't get to say that.
but also getting the older kids to buy into that. We got to get that buy-in, because you're asking
Buy
me.
into what? The labs? Or
No, buy
into
into the physical science, the whole
concept of
kit and caboodle, because you're asking, and this is just from the older side of it.
right.
I mean, I've got 18, 19-year-olds. I mean, balancing an equation doesn't mean a hill of beans to them, because it has nothing to do with making money.
What year was this?
You
But
know,
balancing
so
equations is exactly the same thing as setting up and balancing your budget.
That's right.
I get it,
Exactly the
but
same thing.
you're
That's why
dealing.
I explained it.
But with the 60K and below, they're not looking at budgets. They're looking at day-to-day survival. Day-to-day survival doesn't say budget.
You live on what you got.
That's what I'm saying.
And
So
now, I guess we haven't considered this, I don't know if they, with that data, I don't know if they were considering the total income, because 260s in the house is different than 160 in the house.
That's total household income is what it
It
says.
said total household, yeah, so that's not that much, man, I mean.
No, it's
not at all.
Not with one
Not
person.
a family of
$60.
four.
Yeah,
not
that's
for fam- shoot a family of 3 nowadays.
And that really is speaking to how that,
Family.
because we're saying, what I'm looking at the data is you have a black family, minority family that has multiple kids. And you're working with $60,000. That's what the data kind of shows for me because of how many black and white people are in the county. That means the black people that are here have multiple kids and they have $60,000 and they're trying to work through with $60,000 with 4 kids. That's why they become socially economically disadvantaged. But on paper, that doesn't look that way. But when
No.
you're paying for 3 or 4 kids,
When you
and
go
all
into
that,
the grocery store and this is
that's
12.
$10.
This
The best
is,
indicator would be the number of our students that are on free and reduced lunch.
that's true too.
Yeah, which is 89% right now.
Is it that high?
It's, yeah, at one time it was 92% when I was doing something.
The district is very high. Can I make an observation?
Yeah, please.
It's not related to high school, but in middle school.
Come on, mama.
The last 2 years, science, our numbers have.
No, let's talk middle school too, though, yeah.
Yeah, we
Let's
have
talk
to.
about
I'm looking at middle school
Okay.
CRCT.
Okay.
We were very off in 2009 and 2010, but the last 2 years, the number of children that, I'm sorry, I'm on page 20 and 21, that have met
Yeah, it's
has
really
been
increased.
significant.
Now, let's talk about that. What do you think, because we're getting all different kind of kids all the time, what do you think were the things that we were doing differently in those 2 years than over the past 4 years or 5 years or whatever?
What's your percentage? 50% were in
50% what?
special ed? No, under 50%
Under 50%?
now.